Tell them how you know me. You didn't even...
I'm not good at this.
I can tell.
Mike was my 8th grade Bible teacher at Lipscomb. Now it's Lipscomb Academy. But back then it was David Lipscomb Middle School. Mike taught Genesis and creation and apologetics and the Exodus, kind of the early story of the Bible. And we've kind of been in contact ever since. And we've had Mike out at camps and stuff like that. You're going to enjoy Mike. Is that an okay introduction?
Yeah, that was great.
And he's a jerk. Okay, there you go.
Know our history there. And I won't spend a lot of time on pleasantries and cordialities and talking about him being a pain as a student. But he got a D, and we were so proud of that. Parents took him out for dinner. They were so excited. He applied himself, as my mother always said. I don't know what that means. Do y'all? What does it mean to apply yourself? I have no idea. I'm glad the teenagers are in here. Where's the youth group? Where's the teens? Could I see some teens' hands? Are y'all teenagers in the back? One of them's not a teenager, I don't think. But there's teens right there. Is any teens over here? Okay, now I was a youth minister. I've always been a full-time coach and teacher since I got out of college, but I did youth ministry for 29 years. So at one time I think I was the 3rd oldest in the country. So I'm going to ask y'all, and you're not going to hurt my feelings. This is just for the teenagers. How old do y'all think I am? And you will not, if you go over, it's not going to hurt my feelings. I'm a coach, and so you can't hurt my feelings. What do you're wanting to guess. Go ahead. What do you say? Go ahead. It's not going to hurt. It's okay. God bless you. Yes. Yes, that's right. I'm 42. I'm 42 years old. For about 20 years, I've been 42. So, I'm 67, but when I was a lot younger when Matthew was around in my classes. And he was a great student, great kid to have. And so this lesson tonight, I want to begin by just telling you a little bit about myself, not because of my ego, but I think it's kind of good to get to know the speaker so you have some, backdrop or context. I was an adorable child, and I had what I call the all-American life as a kid. I had a lot of fun growing up and going to church. This is the picture in the church directory, and looked like I sold used cars there with that plaid jacket. And my brother stared into space a lot. He was a little denser. He was the slower of the group. And I passed up my rock and roll career to be a minister, of course. And you can tell the glow of heaven came down on the favored child there, whom I'm well pleased. And girls, you can see why I was pretty popular with the women in high school. Those socks are so high, it almost makes the shorts modest, doesn't it? It's horrible. But while I was growing up and having a great life, this little girl was growing up in Goodlettsville, and she was an incredible person. And this is where we met, this little country congregation in Goodlettsville called Shackle Island. Any of you know the name Willie Cato? Okay, if you know that name, you're real old, aren't you? So there's 3 of us. Yeah, he preached there when I was a youth minister there during college. And this is, look at the sideburns there. We'll move on from that. This is her family. She's that's the one I fell in love with. She had 3 sisters, and this was one of those salt-of-the-earth families. And I actually fell in love with her before we ever dated because I got to know her at church and being around their family a lot. It was a small congregation of 120, but we had 40 teenagers. 1/3 of the church was youth. It was really an incredible experience. And I fell in love with her before I ever dated her. In fact, I told her that I was in love with her before we ever dated. And she wasn't in love with me at that time. So that was a drama that we're going to have a movie one day on. That was a lot of drama there, but I finally got her to marry me, and we wore the Elvis white there. We had a couple of boys here, and they played ball for me at Lipscomb. And so I was doing my coaching career. This is one of our teams at Lipscomb and Nashville Christian. And my oldest son played small college ball at Freed-Hardeman, is proposing to this girl, marries her, and gives me those 2 grandkids. And so my life with Lisa is going along pretty good. And I love that picture of Mason, my grandson, at the game with me. And I want to show you a brief video just so you get a flair and taste of her personality. This is back when Deal or No Deal was popular. And we sent in an audition video. I thought we could get on this thing. And I had a lot of ideas for Howie. And so this is part of it. And you kind of see her personality here a little bit.
Why don't you tell Howie why you think that the dude should be on the show?
Howie, please put this man on the show so I can get some sleep, some rest. He talks about being on Deal or No Deal 24 hours a day. He doesn't sleep. He's always trying to figure out a way to get on the show. He's talking about what he's going to do with every dime. He's giving money to everybody. I don't think we're going to get any.
It's kind of like when Elvis gave away Cadillacs to people.
Please, for
Also,
my sanity, put the man on the show.
When we first started watching the show, I was having a little trouble picking up on the strategy.
Howie, I watched the show for a couple of years, and I was like, Mike, you got to watch this show with me. So he sits down one night to watch it, and he doesn't get it. So I explain it. But a year later, Howie, I'm still explaining the show before he finally gets the concept of the way the show works.
A lot of people get on there and they don't like the banker. They get mad at him. I'd like to kind of play off the fact that the banker doesn't owe me anything. I'm honored to be on there, and he's a good man, and I'm not going to slam the banker like every other contestant, and I think that'll be good vibes for you and me to feed off of. Is she mocking me right now?
So that's just kind of her personality and the way she is. And so now it's time for the presentation.
On May 2nd, 1939, after playing in 2,130 straight games, the Iron Horse Lou Gehrig benches himself. Lou's statistics through April are the worst of his career. He has just 1 RBI and a 143 batting average. 2 weeks after his benching, Gehrig is diagnosed with the fatal disease ALS and is given 3 years to live.
The news of Gehrig's illness stunned the country. And on July 4th, a huge, sad crowd packed Yankee Stadium to pay tribute to their beloved hero. At first, Gehrig was too moved to speak.
For the past 2 weeks, you've been reading about a bad brag. Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth. That I might have been given a bad break, but I've got an awful lot to live for. Thank you.
2 years after his speech at age 37, Gehrig succumbs to his illness. His time was cut short, but his legacy will live forever.
Well, I've never been a Yankee fan, but Lou Gehrig is my all-time favorite baseball player. And I didn't know anybody that had ALS except him. And we used to even make fun of the way that speech sounded in Yankee Stadium. Today, I consider myself, that echo. We'd kind of make light of that. I don't make light of it anymore. That's a sacred speech. And so as grandparents, our life was going along pretty good. Except my grandson wearing that Auburn t-shirt, which has been a disappointment to my family. And Lisa was just a great granny and grandmother and playing with the kids. She exercised, was an incredible workout person, been in 4 half marathons. She taught exercise classes to our church, at our church, for moms that were trying to get their figure back, after they had babies. She had me in shape then, and hiking all the time. And I remember we went hiking in the woods a lot, and she'd be at the top of the hill, taller than that, and hollering down at me, "Hurry up, come on!" And I'm looking up, hoping I have a heart attack so she'll feel bad. Hope I die right here. And this is the way it usually was after we hiked, and so things are really, pretty neat in our life. And my team at Nashville Christian, we just got into the state, and it was one of the greatest seasons of my life. And this is the last vacation we went on with the kids that was normal. And she was having voice issues. And she even got a preliminary report that this could be a sign of ALS. And I kept telling her, "You don't have ALS. Lou Gehrig's voice was fine." It was his body giving it, because her physical body was fine. But she kept getting raspier and raspier with her talking. We did all types of tests. And I said, "There's no way that you have ALS." Lou's body went out, and Lou Gehrig, of course, the disease is named for him later. And his last season, at the end, he started feeling something wrong. He still had a great year, and then by that winter and then the spring, he knew something was wrong, and he knew he had to retire when he went after a normal foul ball from first base. And he caught it, and the dugout exploded like he had made this game-winning catch. And he knew then he's got to step down. And I kept telling her, "You don't have ALS." So we go to the Vanderbilt Neurological Department on September 28th, 2016. And what happens with ALS, the nerves, the cells that control the nerves, they get too excited, and then they start deteriorating, and so pretty soon it starts paralyzing the body. And so they started doing these tests on her, these stress tests on her muscles, pushing and pulling. And of course, there's nothing wrong with her body, and she's just pushing and pulling, just like a horse. There's no problem. And then he tested her reflexes, and they were real excited. And he said, "She's got ALS." And I said, "How can that be? Her muscles are fine." Well, I didn't know that the worst kind starts in the throat. Starts with the voice. And so September 28th, that was a dark Wednesday. Your odds of getting ALS, here's the amount of Americans. This is about how many people have it any given year. There's your odds. But if you have it, they're pretty high, aren't they? I didn't know anybody. And then she was the only one I knew that had it. And then we met Tim Shaw. Tim played at Penn State and later for the Titans. And he was a special teams captain and linebacker. And look at him. Look at him there. This is what it does to your body. And he didn't know what was going on with him. He started working out harder. The Titans had to cut him. And then he found out working out harder is the worst thing you can do if you have ALS. That just wears you out quicker. And so she continues her active lifestyle because her body's okay. But it's just hard to believe that this person that's in top shape and is so physically active has a disease that may just totally take her out. It was beyond my thoughts. And when I left the doctor's office, I was really mad at him because he didn't give us any hope. Now I know why he didn't. I said, "What about some trials or something?" He said, "Well, you can go online and look," because he didn't want to spend money. And so I was really ticked at him. I'm not now, but I really was. And I said, "So, we're just giving up?" And so we go out into the lobby, and we're both tore up. And the first thing she said, now this is, the reason I wanted you to see her personality, this is her life. This is a microcosm. This is our preacher's son, and he's doing great, but he has cystic fibrosis. And he's about 10 or 11. He's doing great. He's doing excellent. But the first thing she said was, Emmett will never know one day of health like I've had for 50-something years. I tell you, I wasn't thinking about Emmett. I was thinking about my best friend with ALS, but that was her. That Wednesday night, we were going to have a celebratory dinner, and it wasn't celebratory. We told of course, my son and my sons and my son's wife, but we didn't tell the kids because they were too little to understand. And we tried to keep on as normal and do some trips. So I get online, and I find this place in Thailand, Bangkok, Thailand, and they do stem cell treatments. And so it's a world-class facility. And just to explain that a little bit, what the hope is that they take the stem cells from an umbilical cord, from a mom's umbilical cord, fresh, and they inject them into your spine. And the hope is it will either arrest the disease or rejuvenate the nerves. Would be wonderful. That's what I kept figuring would happen. And so that's what they're hoping will happen. And then I get online and find out it's $35,000. And you know, private school teachers make that kind of cash per month, you know. And but you know, my daughter-in-law started a GoFundMe account, and our community, school, church, and friends, and people we didn't know, they raised $40,000 in 10 days. And the people in Thailand, when we got there, we told them what happened. Of course, everybody in Thailand is Buddhist. You know, they're not Christian. And they were just stunned when we told them what these people did for us. So we got ready to go. It was going to be a 2-week deal. Right before basketball season started, I was going to miss the 2 weeks of practice. I was going to actually show up at the first game of the season. It's when I was going to be there. And so Lisa, even though she does have a fun personality, she doesn't like to be on camera. And so we decided to document our trip. And it's on my Facebook, and we just decided to go through it mainly so people at home wouldn't be worried, because we're going to Bangkok, Thailand. So I think they pictured, you know, we're in a shack with roosters and they're gambling, doing cockfights and stuff, and oh, help Lisa, you know, on the side. So this is the first little thing we did. Well, our saga begins to Thailand, and I'm sure there'll be a reality show that will begin from this soon. We have just been informed that they are a day ahead of us, so we're going to go through some type of time warp, space-time continuum.
I've been in a time warp ever since I've known
We're going
him,
to, excuse me, we are going to, she's also a little emotional because she may be 60 years old when she returns, and you won't be able to recognize her. So this place, 28 hours to get there. It's a modern town. It's more like second world. It's not third world, but not like us. And this is out the view out the window. Buddhist monk. We had a little discussion there. But he was great to get his picture made with me. And our luggage was lost for 3 days, so our clothes were sticking to us. Finally, they came in. Because of packing space, we had to kind of limit our wardrobe. Mine basically comes down to America, UT, Nashville Christian. Sorry I didn't bring any Woodson Chapel stuff. Had to have room for Lisa's fancy wardrobes. That's not like her at all. This is the team that tried to save her life. These people, these young people are fantastic. They're professionals. They fell in love with Lisa. I think they did everything in their power to save her. I thought they were going to do it. If it wasn't so far away, even though she didn't make it, I would fly over there to see them again and thank them for their efforts, because they really tried. The procedures they did were constant. They did voice therapy, working different muscles. They did acupuncture, hoping that would open up blood vessels in her face so she could start talking better again. Things that stimulated the brain. After 1 week, we had a little movie night in her bed there, and we're watching a Christian comedian, and I almost died there in the hospital, choking, laughing so much, and she loved that. Now, at points, it almost felt like a mission trip. This was our liaison. This was Sang. And Sang thinks she's the only Christian in Thailand. Now, she probably doesn't believe like we do in every facet. She hasn't had training, but she believes in Christ and the Bible and God. And everybody else is Buddhist. And so it was an interesting conversations with her, and she and Lisa connected very quickly. And one day we went to a flea market in Thailand, and here we are going through town. Hey, Sang, do y'all have Shoney's and Cracker Barrel here?
No. You in Thailand?
I knew that. So she was great also. Lisa had a study Bible. This is not a set-up photo. None of these photos are set up. Lisa gave her study Bible to Sang, and this is Lisa showing her how to use American English Study Bible. She did not have an English Bible, and she told her that. Of course, Lisa's going to give it to her immediately. I said, Lisa, at least charge her $25. But Lisa's just not that way, of course. This is the staff. None of them could speak English, but they did speak love, and they were fantastic. This is the girls in rehab. They were downstairs at the bottom. The last day Lisa got an infection and could not get out of bed. They all came up to see her, to see us off. And they were a fantastic group of girls there. And we left with a lot of hope. I felt like this thing is going to be slowing down. I had full faith that I was going to quit teaching, and I was going to be a full-time liaison to get people from the United States to Thailand to be cured of ALS. That was my hope. I was going to do I give up the coaching career, basketball and all that, teaching to do this. I will do this. I will be the funnel to get people from the United States over to Thailand. Didn't work. She took all types of medications. This is a simulator that simulates the vibrations in the earth. Tried that. So she's still doing pretty good. She walked pretty good, but her voice is really going downhill quickly. And she's still driving here. She's driving, and the grandkids, because she's choking all the time on her swallow because she can't swallow well. So she's coughing constantly, and the grandkids were always mimicking her. And Brent, their daddy, would get mad, but Lisa enjoyed them doing it, so I caught them doing this. Okay, this is the only time it's okay to make fun of ALS. There's the imitator. It's a sad little child back there making fun of Granny. You can tell Granny's real upset. So Lisa loved them doing that, and they didn't understand, but that brought her a lot of joy, just them imitating how she sounded. The Tennessean did a report on her, and that I was going to play that, but you can't hardly understand her, and it's hard for me to watch it. Her voice is almost gone at this point. Her body's still in pretty good shape right here. And so she always fixed up the banquet for the team at the end of the year, and I knew this would be the last year she would do it. So I took pictures of it. I don't know if she knew I was doing it. She didn't protest. It was very emotional when the team presented her with some things at the end of the year, pretty emotional time. So as time goes on, she can't eat and swallow. So we got to put a tube in her stomach, and she gets to be nourished by liquid. I had to perform the Heimlich on her 3 times at restaurants, and then we decided we just got to go with the tube. So that was tough. And I decided I wasn't going to eat in front of her, and she would have none of it. She kept cooking for me. She's a great country cook, and she kept cooking. This is at church. She has that kerchief in her mouth because the saliva builds up because she can't swallow it, so she's drooling all the time. So she just puts that in her mouth to catch it. She couldn't even take the Lord's Supper. I took it twice. I took it proxy for her. I guess that's scriptural. I don't see God being too upset with that one. We did a race at the church building. She beat me because she's lighter. That's what killed me. And she kept her sense of humor. We had to get a van for the wheelchair. The kids, of course, loved it. You know, they played with some of the equipment. That just made Lisa happy. We didn't say, no, that's for a handicapped person. They're driving their bicycles through it. And she's still chasing them around. There's the flying monkeys right there. So her smile has kind of gotten distorted. Her mouth is starting to crook up a little bit. And so she's in a wheelchair for a lot. So my seven-year-old grandson wrote, "Dear Granny, I hope you feel better soon." And he drew a picture of her in the wheelchair because that's what they remember her. And that's what breaks my heart. They were so little. Their memories of her are in that wheelchair. And so she keeps deteriorating, and I'm always asking God, why? Lisa said, why not me? She didn't complain one time. I was just ticked. I wasn't mad at God. I was just questioning Him. And I said, Lisa, I can't follow these verses. In everything, give thanks. How y'all doing on that one? I'm not doing too good. Do all things without grumbling. I'm 0 for 2. And be content in whatever circumstance. By the way, she did all those 3. I said, Lisa, I can't keep these 3 verses. And at this time, she has a voice app to type out what she wants to say, and it plays audibly because she can't say anything. And I said, I can't keep these 3 verses she typed in. I got news for you. There's a whole lot more than 3 verses you don't keep. So, wonderful, loving Christian woman there. And she loved to sit at the window. She had bird feeders. We had to keep the birds going. She's still cooking at this point, even though she's in a wheelchair. This is a meal. She's the last meal. Look at her smile. She had a beautiful smile, but look, it's getting crooked because these muscles are dying. And look at that bread. And this was for my team. Her and that lady did help her, but this was her. She's going to be dead in 4 months from that. She's going to be dead. But she's still serving. There we are out eating. There's that handkerchief there, and she's still hanging out with the children. We even did a promo for our vacation Bible school that she was in. And I really struggled throughout it. Not that I was mad at God, I just didn't get it. But here's the deal. I don't understand that, but I know one of the leading atheists in the United States, Bart Ehrman. He is a scholar from North Carolina, University of North Carolina. He believes, he doesn't believe in the Bible, but he knows every word of it in Greek. I wished I knew the Greek like he did. But I don't want to interpret the Bible like he does because he doesn't believe it's the Word of God. And he became an atheist because of human suffering. I'm not gonna dump this. Don't let what you don't understand about God ruin what you do understand. You're not going to understand everything. If you think you are, you might as well quit now. You're not going to understand all this stuff. And to show you her personality, my grandson there said, even though she has ALS, you can't tell it because she was so happy. She would get on to me for, we had to go all the way to Thailand. I was going, why don't the United States have these things? Because we won't do it unless we got to have some evidence it works, you know. And I said, the United States ought to do this. This is ridiculous. We had to go all the way to Thailand. And she said, again through her voice, quit talking bad about my country. And I just, excuse me, Martha Washington, okay. But that's the way she was on everything. And one day she said, your negativity is not helping me. She just wanted to stay positive all the way through it. My team went in 2016, we went to state. 2 years later, we will go 1-17 in the district. We were terrible. It was hard. We were not even a good church league team. And so she comes to some of the games. She's in a wheelchair at the end of the bench. So I'm walking by at halftime, and she did her voice out, your negativity is rubbing off on your team. And I said, will you try coaching them then? But that's the way she was. And of course, the team loved her more than me. They probably didn't love me at all. And back when she was healthy, she was always into these essential oils. And one of our point guard, he had congestion, and it was just, he couldn't breathe. He said, I don't think I can play tonight. I called Lisa. I said, Zach can't even breathe. Can you bring something? So she brings over these oils, and he's rubbing his hands, smelling, goes through warm-ups. He comes over to me and says, Coach, I'm 85% clear. I can play. The next game, I look up, the whole team is gathered around her. You know, it looks like a drug deal. You know, got your lavender right here, boys. Okay, and I mean, it was hysterical looking. I was going, where are the guys? We're supposed to be warming up, and they're all around her getting their fix. But this is her niece. She was our nurse the last few months. We had to have 24/7 care. When I was there, we didn't have to have the nurses all the time. But Lisa and her were very, very close. And so she keeps going down and down and down. And so at the end, she's 98% paralyzed, and she cannot move anything but her eyebrows. And that's about it, and move her eyes back and forth. So she can't tell us. Also, something they don't tell you, your bladder also, you have no control of it, so she's wearing diapers. She's also quit taking any nutrition, and I knew why. She was shutting down, and she knew it, and I never encouraged her because we wanted this thing to get over with. This is so horrible. And so she didn't take any more nourishment. And so, you know, she continued to go down and down and down. And I think this is the day before she died, I believe, and has to have oxygen. And prior to it getting this bad, you know, the saliva builds up. We had to get this machine. It's a suction device that had to stick on the back of her throat to pull out all that saliva. A very gross procedure. And every night I would pray, God, let her have one good night of sleep, just one. As soon as I'd lay down, she'd start choking again. Here we are back up. And I had to lift her out of her wheelchair onto a sofa chair or into the shower chair. I got this disc that spins, and I put that under her feet, and then I would clasp my hands in the pit of her back and pull her up, and then she would have to lock her legs, and then I would turn her and rotate her to the next chair. And sometimes late on, her legs would give out. You know, she could lock them at first, and then they'd give out, and I would have to catch her. At this point, she's about 125 pounds. Now, guys, can y'all curl 125? Can anybody in here curl 125? No. I can't. But I never dropped her because of the adrenaline. You know, you hear about those when a car wrecks and the mama picks the car up with the child underneath it. That's what I was doing. And these muscles here were sore constantly because, you know, when you work out with the weights, you got to rest one day. I never got to rest my muscles, and so they were constantly sore. And I'd be wringing wet going to bed every night. But I didn't complain because, you know, I lost a lot of my taste at COVID. Some of it's come back. You know, that's really not a big deal to me because she couldn't swallow. Okay? Yeah, eating's kind of boring, but I can swallow. And I was able to taste that chili tonight and the lemonade and the biscuit. Where's Kathy? Is Kathy in here? I was able to taste all that stuff. It was so good. I normally can't taste everything, so I don't ever really complain about that. It's just not that big a deal to me anymore. And so, in the last day, I was hoping it would happen today. It was July the 12th in 2018, and we were back in her bedroom, and so her breathing gets real labored, just, and she's looking at us with these eyes that she can't tell us what to do. She's got a diaper on, and everybody says ALS doesn't hurt. Your body's hurting because you can't move it, and so it gets sore, and she didn't want us to change her diaper. She preferred to sit in or lay in the wet diaper that last day because it hurt so much to move her. And that's why I was hoping maybe today will be the day. So her breathing gets real labored, and then after 10 minutes, I could tell her eyes glazed over, and I thought, finally, it's going to happen. So my niece is back there with us, and I can tell Lisa's going out, and so I start crying, but I'm telling her, go on, it's okay. And I tried to tell her everything I wanted to tell her about, I love her, you're a great wife. I just kept going on, and I'm bawling the whole time. And finally, after about 10 minutes, or during that time, first of all, my niece is playing on her phone, It Is Well With My Soul. She's playing that. So that's a hard song for me to sing now. Isn't that a great song? And I struggle with it. I know it's great, but our niece, she kept saying, keep talking to her. She might can hear you. She might can hear you. So I just kept talking to her. Then at 4:05, her breathing stopped, and I looked at her eyelid, and I knew she was gone. And you know how you hear about reports like they die on the operating table, and they said they went up and they saw people in the waiting room and all, and I thought, well, maybe she can see us as she's leaving. And I just pictured her lifting up like this, and I looked up at the ceiling and I said, hon, if you can see me, bye, I love you. And I just pictured her waving and going on. I just pictured her looking back like that, but then I pictured this next, and she's finally free of this horrible disease. Now, this is at a vacation Bible school in Pasco. This is 4 weeks before she dies. This is the last place she went to church. And she went because the kids wanted to go. I was speaking there. And when she died, my little Maddie, my 4-year-old, said, she doesn't have to stay in that stinking wheelchair anymore. She called it a stinking wheelchair. And those 2 kids, the spirituality, the stuff that they would say, like the funeral was on a Tuesday, and we were having VBS, and everybody was going, should we take down the decorations out of respect for Lisa? I said, no, Lisa ran VBS. She would want all this stuff up. So we've got this funeral with VBS decorations everywhere, and it felt so natural. And they're running around there after the funeral, but Mason said, I bet Granny is playing football and they can't tackle her. That was his idea of heaven. You can't be tackled in football. That was the ultimate of heaven. And Maddie said she's probably growing a garden for us because Lisa always had a garden. And of course, our church was incredible. These ladies went into my house to get her memorabilia. I couldn't set anything up for the funeral. They found stuff. They probably stole a lot of stuff. They went through everything and got all this memorabilia. They got stuff out I didn't even know we had. Medals she had from those marathons and stuff. And this all with big pictures of her I'd never seen. And all these displays. And I had 3 men tell me that the funeral service changed their wives' lives, hearing Lisa's stories and seeing what all she did. This was about a year before she died, and these photographs were taken by professionals. Someone at church hired a photographer to come out, and these photos were not given to me until after she died. I didn't know that they existed. And this was kind of our motto. Ryan Stevens had this song called "In the Eye of the Storm, You Remain in Control." It's a great song, and I thought about that song, and this is back before Lisa's getting sick or getting real bad. So these are kids from church, and that's my son on top, and my grandson's cutting to the hole for a basket, hopefully. And all of a sudden, in the middle of it, Maddie just strolls across the middle with her tea. And I mean, easily, she could get run over, easily. And she's just walking in the eye of the storm. And I thought, that was Lisa. She's just walking through the storm with her sweet tea. And all this stuff is raging around her, and she just keeps on keeping on. Here's what Lisa's taught me. It's not about me. Most selfless person I've ever known. And she taught me that. And fellas, let me jump on you real quickly for a second that are married. Here's something you're going to regret, because I do. Your wife, like Lisa, wants to go to Michael's or Bed Bath & Beyond. And you're so sick of scented candles. And here's what you do. You pull up, you drop her off at the door, you park and take a nap. You're going to regret that. Because all I want to do right now is go shopping at Bed Bath & Beyond with my wife. That's all I want to do. You better quit it. You're going to have a lot of guilt like I do. Okay? Yeah, there's some elbowing right now. Why don't you come in as we stand and sing at this time? I know, I did too, but see, I didn't have anybody telling me you're going to feel guilty, so you got an advantage over me, so quit doing that. This is a photo taken the day that the day that Lou Gehrig took himself out of the lineup, like 1,500 games in a row that he had never set out. This is the guy taking his spot. His name's Babe Dahlgren. Look who's comforting who. Lou is comforting Dahlgren because he doesn't want to take Lou Gehrig's spot. You don't want to take Lou's spot. You've been in the majors 1 year. He's devastated. And look who is comforting who. I picture this. I don't know if Lou was a Christian. I looked up a lot of stuff on him. He was an incredible person. But I like to picture Lou up there and my wife coming up to him and saying, "My husband really wants to meet you real bad." I just picture that, and Lou kind of nodding, still got his uniform on. And I'm sure heaven's not that way, but that's kind of what I picture. And she was the educational director for the little kids, and they named it after her. Unfortunately, we were able to tell her that before she died, and that was a pretty emotional time. I was there at the church when they announced it, but her last day at church was in Mother's Day, other than that place at Pasco. So I've gone too long. I'm going to close with this is a video I did in honor of her. It's all young pics. It's all young video stuff. And part of it has her in Honduras when we did mission trips there. That's what it's mainly Honduras stuff. And you'll see a little girl that she's with, and this little girl is like 10, and her and Lisa had a big connection. She's in a third world village, and this little girl has never come out of her village, and you'll see us at a restaurant with her. And so we'll close with this.
To the God of all creation, to the everlasting Father we sing. We will sing. With a joyful celebration, lift our voices to our Father and sing. We will sing. Our
This is that little girl that they found it a year later. It took them a while to find her. That's her there.
We will sing. We will sing. We will sing to the Savior, the Son, to Jesus the Christ. We will sing. We will sing. To the Son of Incarnation, to the everlasting Savior we sing. We will sing. Oh, with a joyful celebration. Lift our voice.
Well, thank y'all for letting me come up. Appreciate it.